We are right there with you. We're going to be reviewing all the action from the weekend. We're going to be discussing all the news in our PAC News segment. We're going to be going around the world and having a yarn to an Aussie abroad. We've got plenty of shit we need to get into. So before we go any further, introduce my co-host. We've got Aidan Toa, obviously former Queensland Red. Same with Dallin Murphy right next to him. And unfortunately, after one and done, Big Fat Das has dumped Freeney and left him by himself on the battlers bench. What's doing, Freeney?
He's an absolute coward, mate. I think you got the tap on the shoulder from the missus. You can't attend, mate. You can't attend. I think he's breastfeeding tonight. It's his turn.
Well, someone's got to do it, man.
Exactly right.
Someone's got to do it. Hey, it's witching hour. But before we go any further, let's get straight into the PAC news because there's been so much shit going on in rugby over the last, week that we haven't had a show. It has been absolutely schizo. And breaking news, first and foremost, the massive announcement that World Rugby has said that Australia is the preferred host of the 2027 Men's Rugby World Cup and the 2029 Women's Rugby World Cup.
Boom.
DOS. Boom indeed. But DOS, this would be an absolute boon for the game here in Australia when we desperately need it.
Yeah, mate, you're exactly right, J-Ball. And then you throw in the Lion Series in 2025. Oh. We get that World Cup in 2027, then, all of a sudden rugby's on the tip of everyone's tongue. Hopefully they get the government support that, an announcement's due whenever it'll come out.
Well, they announced last week that they're going to be coughing up, 150 million over 8 years. Granted, that's ScoMo, so you wouldn't trust that son of a bitch as far as you can throw him. Oh, mate, that's bullshit. But, it's still something, and you'd have to say that's probably what got it over the line, the fact that there is that government aid.
I think so. I think that's what World Rugby look for, and as soon as you get endorsed by the government, they look at that country as being, viable to hold an event like the World Cup. And as you said, J-Ball, mate, brilliant. Exciting time to be part of Australian rugby.
Absolutely awesome. And Dow, you'd have to say as well, that would actually be the perfect time for, we wax lyrical about this sort of golden crop of talent that is coming through the Australian pathway at the moment. And you'd have to say, look, 2023 might be a little too soon for us to really be a favourite. And if you look at, say, France, they did really well at 2019 now. They're second in the world. 2027, at least for the men, would probably be the perfect opportunity to win that World Cup on home soil, surely.
Yeah, I think 2023, will be very, very competitive. I'm not sure whether we'll go all the way, but I think, we'll go very close. I think we've got a good crop they've kept together over the last couple of years, and they're working towards something. You've got a lot of young guys who've done the 20s, who've done a lot of Super Rugby. They've done a lot together now, but by the time they get to 2027, they'll be battle-hardened. They'll be tough. They'll be 26, 27 years of age. They're not just the young guys on the block. So aiming for that 2027 World Cup at home, there's so much to play for. I think it's going to be a really golden time in Australian rugby.
It's going to be dope. And Friends, you've obviously got a connection to the women's game. The 2029 World Cup being here, Women's Rugby World Cup being here, that would be absolutely massive for the women's game here in Australia. A code that, not necessarily a controversial saying, but they've somewhat been a little bit neglected up until recently in regards to the game.
Well, they were going well a couple of years back before COVID, and then COVID hit, and it really
took the wind out of the sail a bit, eh?
But I think after this year, it's definitely on the radar a bit more, on Stan and stuff. A lot more people are watching it and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I reckon by that time, there's a lot of young girls. Apparently, the numbers in women's rugby is growing every year. It's one of the fastest growing sports. Could have made that stat up. No,
I believe you did.
Apparently. No, it'll be good.
Just real quick, that shot right there, have you guys seen that meme with the little blonde chick with the 5 big black dudes behind her? That meme
Casting Couch Boys.
How much is that?
Take me!
Oh, no, I can't unsee it. I love it, but lucky again I'm behind this bench because I am rock hard at the moment.
Who's behind me? Hey? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, boys?
Moving on. All right, let's get straight into the other news stories then. So in a couple of weeks' time, I think 2-3 weeks' time, we've got the Super Round down in Melbourne. And I think that's the first round where we're going to see Aussie sides going up against Kiwi sides. Dos, we've seen, especially in the Kiwi competition, sides like the Satyrs, and we saw the Canes a week or two ago lose to Moana Pacifica, no mean feat, but do you think the Aussie sides have a much better chance of doing, well, they can't go much worse unless they get no wins, but last year we only got one against the Kiwi sides. Do you think they're in a better position to potentially better that percentage?
I think they are, J-Ball. I'm hesitant to get too excited about the prospects.
Me too, eh?
It's just, it's
we
so...
do it so much,
Yeah, we do it so much, and it's...
it's hard not to,
but
though,
this
man.
year, it may be warranted. What I love from the Reds is their ability to absorb pressure and just keep absorbing it. Defensively, they hustle well. And then, they've got the Geordie Patayas, they've got the Taniela Tupos that can provide that little moment of X factor to then turn the momentum and push them ahead.
Mate, bloody Jock's not starting again after the weekend, I don't think.
Well, mate.
We were discussing that on the way. Yeah, that's for a
Sorry,
different
mate.
That's for a different topic.
But that's the thing. We were discussing it literally this exact time last week. The fact that someone like Jock is being hustled out of position because of Geordie.
Mate, and then
by far his best game.
What
position do we put him in? And then all of a sudden 15.
But he's playing his way into that role. And there's a lot of players that are starting to do that. Johnny Wadd, big, what's his chops? Charlie Gambino down in New South Wales. He's been getting to Guernsey. Last year, Carlo Dezzano was everyone's favourite. Now he's getting shafted for big old porno stash Charlie Gamble.
Yeah.
That's Michael Hooper's jersey. So it's like Michael Hooper, I was a lock on that. But the fact that there's players in these positions pushing players of that ilk on the field and on the training paddock, that can only be good, Dal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what we're starting to notice across the board now. If you just look at that number 7 position, you obviously got Hoops and Fraser at the top there, but then you got some guys underneath that, like Charlie Gamble and Jerome Hughes and all these other guys that are coming kind of through.
Kanko Teka at the force.
Yeah, Kanko
Teka
at
the
force.
tough.
Like you've got
tough.
five really good quality players, that can step up and are playing some excellent footy kind of week in, week out. So I like the depth that's starting to pop up in key positions in and around the country, and that's probably the most exciting part, and I think, puts us in good stead against these New Zealand Super Rugby teams.
100%, because that's been sort of the issue with the Kiwis for the longest time, is that so many top grade players that anywhere else in the world would be a starting international player don't even get a game, let alone even a handful. So, I think that is a good sign of a very strong national side, is when at club level you've got guys pushing each other to the max. Now, on to the next topic. This one is very raw for me because I've spoken about it a lot. And friends, I want to get your opinion on this. I've said for the longest time, get rid of the TMO outside of adjudicating on tries. You've got 3 referees on the field. You've got so many opportunities for collisions on a footy field.
Yeah.
If you can't see it right there and it's not that clear and obvious,
do not slow down someone going into a ruck.
Do what they used to do. Do what they used to do. Side it, and they get penalised after. If it's so minuscule in regards to the flow of the game that it doesn't become an issue to the game, let them get banned or whatever it is afterwards. But at the moment, even on the smallest thing, when the Tars put that chip in, and Hamish Stewart barely made contact with the chasing player. We made it 80 metres back down the field, 3 or 4 phases back. Yeah, that was foul play. All the way back. There needs to be done. Something needs to be done about the team.
What I like there is Angus Gardner. He saw something because he the chip went over and he goes, "Can you just check that quickly for me?"
Yeah.
So I don't mind it because then
but he asked for that. But at the same token, make the call.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, if the Reds do go, they recovered that kick, if they go score a try and they haven't come back to it, you know what's going to happen in the press conference.
Taking a dive or something. Yeah.
Tough titties.
I don't know.
James Slipper, that shot Twainer put on Slips would not have even been looked at if Slips didn't stay down because he knows the TMO is going to look at it.
Also as well, I was thinking about this on the way over, your brother would know, it's a hard thing because they've got a book that says this.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's what they're going off. So the letter of the law, I guess they're doing their job. But how the hell are you going to win that shoulder height battle if someone's down there, say, snaffling a ball, how are you going to get them off it? It's one of those things.
I'm not discussing the interpretation of the laws.
Yeah.
I'm discussing, and I'm pissed off about having this person not involved in the game looking at it with a fine-tooth comb.
And slow-mowing it.
You're always going to find what's wrong. Yeah. And then, as I said, that slip shot back in the day,
I'm glad
Angus Gardner doesn't see it. That would have been play on, and if they wanted to cite it, they could, but back in the day, they probably would have been like, it's not worth our time.
I would have copped way more red cards.
Definitely would have. Man, if only you were better at footy, you would have been absolutely harangued by the TMO.
Yeah, should be no good, mate. Anyway, no,
a boy can dream.
What do you do? What do you do? It's just
I don't know.
Sucks. They're like. Obviously, they've got a spot in the game, but like it's killing it at the moment. Like there's so much fucking time.
It's killing it, dude. It is killing it.
I don't know. What do you reckon, Dale? Has Dame said anything over the dinner table at home, mate?
Which it would be difficult though.
Yeah,
like,
you and Damon.
And like my dad's a stickler for giving shit to refs, but like I'm like, mate, at the 0.5 of a second, you got to make a decision. Like it's not a fun thing to do.
Your dad's always into Damon on Facebook.
Is he really? That's so sick.
He's
like father, like son, man.
Especially when he's had a couple of rumbos.
You can always tell. He gets more and more aggressive.
Yeah. Starts losing punctuation. And like,
just so. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, like it's a hard thing to do, isn't it? What does he say? Like, what's the?
Yeah, it is hard, and I feel like there's so many different interpretations. There's a lot of pressure coming down from World Rugby. This is the way you got to referee the game, all that kind of stuff. I'm a little bit like you, J-Ball, and I raised this point with Damon on the weekend. I feel like, unless it's really affecting the game or it's severe foul play, let the game go.
Yeah.
And then coaches will obviously blow up after the game. That's the hard part because they'll come to the referees on Monday and go, well, you missed this, and you missed this.
Well, that was the 48-hour citing period. They used to have that. Brendan Kennan got in a scrap and then had bite marks all over him. But he had bite marks all over him, and then they didn't see it, but they cited it. Okay, cool. They did, but like you're not going to see everything. No. And I've said 2019 Rugby World Cup was almost ruined by the TMO.
Yep. Especially the Fijian game. Was it Fiji versus Wallabies when he?
Wales versus Wallabies, where Samu ran over the top of the fly half and put his arm out, and he's like an elbow to the face. But the thing is, the TMO sort of 2000 is when it really became a big part of it. Before that, tell me a test match or a massive international or massive Super Rugby match or whatever it is that the talking point was a referee decision. You can't.
I guess there's a lot of recourse,
because they went tough titties, referee called it one way, suck a fat one, let's keep going.
I don't know, man.
Whereas now, like, it's not even like, was that a try or wasn't that a try? Was that XYZ? Like, they're like a call in the middle of the match of a potential elbow by a ball carrier is what a talking point in a Rugby World Cup match.
Yeah, it gets rid of the dark arts. I like the old, the kick chase and people like, bumping into them and stuff. I don't know, just little things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But I think it just takes it out of it. I think it's ruining the game, to be honest.
It's the Karens, mate.
It's the Karens, mate. It is. Blame it on the Karens. Super W, the Reds. I'll get your thoughts on this, friends. They finally received their caps over the weekend. They've been playing capped state games since 1996. So 26 years later, what's happened there?
Did you see that the girl who organised it was literally trolling through footage?
Yeah,
you name it, like putting team sheets together.
She had to take. She had 8 months. It took her 8 months, and luckily she had long service leave from work. So it took a woman who played the game at the top level for 10 or 13 odd years on long service leave, and I think there was a donation by someone to help her go through it. She had to go through it before the women finally were respected by way of getting their caps to playing for their state. It was awesome.
I was saying to Jace, I was like, mate, that's a good
took
moment
their
in
sweet ass time.
Yeah, I know, 100%. But at least it has happened now, so
it has.
It was good. It was actually quite good, like the whole before the game, getting the caps, then the half time, and after match and whatnot. And a lot of them stuck around and. But it was pretty. The girls are stoked.
Oh, as they should be. I reckon that's absolutely awesome. So it's good to see the girls finally getting that little bit of recognition for the effort they put in. They bust their ass, and it's good to see them finally getting their caps. There's something nearly 250 odd
that,
players over the last 26 odd years. So it's good to see them getting their recognition. Speaking of the women's game, the NRLW. I flicked on the telly on the weekend. It was a semi-final, Roosters versus the Bronx.
Well, I went to bed I went and had a little Arvo nap, and I thought, Broncos got this.
That game, the crowd was going schizo, and in that game you had players like Millie Boyle, and you're going to have other players like Emma Tonagato, who plays for the Dragons, be playing in the grand final this weekend. Is the NRLW going to cripple the women's game in Australia, Dos?
Mate, I don't know. I think the girls getting their caps on the weekend was a great start in terms of recognising the Super W. And, they've only started with proper coverage. They're in their early stages compared to the NRLW.
Bear in mind, they just announced a week or two ago they're expanding the competition. They're expanding the salary cap. 2 players within that salary cap can be full-time paid professional athletes.
In NRLW.
And we've lost Charlotte Caslick, Emma Tonagato. We've lost Millie Boyle, just to name a few. I read something on the weekend. Emma Tonagato said that she only went into women's sevens rugby because NRL, Rugby League, didn't have a women's pathway to the top game.
Oh, interesting.
Now, it's our pathway that seems to be sort of narrowing and slowing down, and theirs is accelerating. We're going to have a lot of reverse Emma Tonagato.
Yeah, well, that's exactly something that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
Sevens being the Olympic sport, such a huge draw card in terms of getting the young girls to play rugby and commit to rugby. But then, hearing something like that, using it as a pathway to get into the NRLW, there's obviously a long way for the for Super W to go and the organisers. But yeah, look, sevens is still being an Olympic sport. It's still got that, that unique draw about it, and kids are going to want to do it. But yeah,
the World Cup,
and the World Cup. But yeah, they've just got to think about ways to keep those girls in the game.
Yeah.
How do they do that?
I don't know.
No, I don't know.
So why don't they do both? So
make it the season to coincide.
Yeah, so that's what happens now. So you got the you got the Super Rugby at the start of the year, and then you've got one NRL season for the women at the start, and then there's another one at the back end of the year, right?
And they almost coincide.
Yeah, so why not kind of have one season at the back end of the year and then have kind of dual code athletes? So we didn't lose Charlotte Caslick. She's obviously still contracted to Rugby Australia, but she went and did that. Do you know what I mean? She went and played NRLW.
I have
and then came back.
I could be wrong, but I think they're starting to get those like sort of contracts where they're dedicated to it. I could be wrong, but I think it's sort of no. But I could be. I'm pretty certain. 68%.
That's the hard-hitting facts we like on the PAC Show.
Could be wrong, but very certain.
Yeah. could be wrong, but I'm kind of 100% certain.
Oh well, yeah. Then
until the game grows and until it gets to a position where both sides are financially viable and both sides, the NRL and the rugby union are able to pay the women fully. Why don't we kind of work together and get them the ability to do both?
I mean, it's similar to what the men's game's experiencing in terms of Rugby Australia not being able to pay these guys. So they're trying to now think around flexible contracts for them to go to Japan and earn that money. To try and entice them to stay. Yeah, I think Dal brings up a good point. I like it.
But I think then you got the draw card with Union too. We've got it's an international game.
Correct.
You've got World Cups. You've got like your circuits for your sevens, all that sort of stuff. So there's obviously heaps of draw cards for Union. It's just trying to build it from now. Obviously, just keep building from now on. Don't go backwards again like what happened in COVID.
They need to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So next thing. So we've got it on very good authority that there's a lot of, I don't want to say resentment, but there's a lot of chat and a bit of discontent within the QRU regarding some of the selections, especially in the forward pack for the Wallabies. So players like Nick Frost apparently has already signed or is very close to signing to Japan. Caden Neville the same. Caden Neville, he's older than Granddad's ballsack. And then we've got second rowers that are doing a pretty bloody good job. And apparently there's maybe chat that, maybe Dan McKellar's got a lot of say in regards to that. I mean, Dow, you obviously played a hell of a lot of top-grade footy. At that level, is there, I know there shouldn't be, but is there bias? Is there coaching bias sometimes?
I think it's like anything, right? Like you go to any kind of office, there's probably office bias. You know what I mean?
Not here in
is-
PAC and DoubleTake. This is social
So
democracy,
obviously,
bro.
you've got certain players that you like more than others, and it's just quite simple. Whether they're at your club or they're not at your club, there's always going to be selection bias. That's just part of the game.
Yeah, but I mean, let's look at this logically, and I think there is actually a point to be made. I mean, Caden Neville, I don't think he's played for the Wallabies since 2012, and he's well into his 30s.
Mind
Same
you,
with-
he has been going. He's gone pretty good down at Brumbies since he's
You got to
been
remember as well, we've got 3 selections that we can make for overseas-based players,
Oh, yeah.
and
Skelton.
look at the second rowers that are playing around the world, and arguably some of them are the best second rowers in the world. Rory Arnold, Will Skelton,
And Radiki Samo.
what's his name? Adam Coleman.
Coleman.
Samo. Adam Coleman. Like
Yeah.
these are all
Sam Carter,
guys.
Kane Douglas, both voted,
Yeah.
the French best
Yeah.
locks in the competition last year.
Exactly. So it's like, I mean, it's one position that it might have been better to get an Angus Blythe or something in the mixer where, or even getting a Harry Hawkins from
Ryan
over in
Smith.
Japan,
Harry
back
Hawkins,
Ryan
man,
Smith,
yeah.
get
Ryan
them in
Smith.
the system. Like, I don't know. Do you think they're warranted to maybe be a bit salty, Doss?
Look, I think in any squad selection, there's going to be the people who are salty and
At the end of the day,
who
doesn't
feel
matter.
hard done by. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I think going back to all the locks around the world, I think you need to look at the Wallabies squad, and it's like, all right, actually, where do they need the overseas players to come from? In my mind, Corambetti needs to come back.
Oh yeah.
Samuel
Yeah.
Karevi needs to come back.
Yep.
And then, the third one, Quaid, my man QC did a brilliant job last year.
How good was he?
So
Yeah,
yeah,
he was sick.
and he has to come back. So if those are
then-
if those are the 3 that are coming back, you can't bring anyone else back. So it's like you got to pick the rest from domestic.
Shawnee McMahon, mate. There's another one.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
But in saying that,
But in saying that, mate, you
a
were
lot of good
big.
back
You were
rowers.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big supporter of
Yeah.
the back
I'll
row
leave my
last
hat-
week,
I'll
mate.
leave
See
my
that?
hat.
That's really good analysis
You're right.
from Doss there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very level-headed.
Yeah, but
Because I
but,
didn't think like that.
No.
I was like, this is bullshit. Burn it down. Yeah.
yeah.
I-
Do you reckon
I
they
guess
scrap
that's a
that
good
rule
point.
though and just select a side from around the world? Or do you
Oof.
reckon it's? Do you
We're
reckon
getting
it's,
into it now. What do
Yeah.
you reckon, Dallin?
Dal.
I don't think so.
No.
I think it's impossible. You do that, I think you just ruin the game in Australia.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
And that's what happens.
I'll go fuck myself.
Not everyone's going to leave because
Screw you with your facts and your logic.
Yeah.
because not everyone can leave. Obviously, there's a certain amount of teams and visas and all that kind of stuff that
Yeah.
happens around the world. But
Yeah, but if all these good players leave, we have a better chance of playing for the Reds.
that's true.
Work smarter.
Hey,
not
but look,
harder.
they- also on the weekend, you know how we're talking about the bias, obviously the Brumbies or whatever, and the Reds front row absolutely dicked the Wallabies front row. That was mate with a man down. Nella, he's a superhero.
Yep.
He's an actual superhero.
As I
Pay
said
the
last
man.
week-
He was just like, oh, just
as I said last week, man, pay the man his money.
Yeah.
Pay
Hell
him
yeah,
the money.
man. Hell yeah. All right, really quickly. We know the Wallaby squads is already up and running. Doss, Dal, who are your bolters for the Wallabies? Maybe not in the squad right now, but do you reckon they're going to be either in the squad or making their debut later this year? For the Wallabies and the All Blacks.
All right. So for the Wallabies, someone who I thought would be in the initial squad has been hurt by injury, and I think they'll be back in time to still make a mark on Super Rugby and get selected. Is my man Alex Murphy.
Yep.
Yes.
And
A position we are lacking a
Yeah.
strong sort of first choice.
but to be honest, the Tars hooker Parecki's been going great.
Yep.
I love Lockie Lonergan down
Yep.
at the Brahms. Lau Fainga as well. Like there are good players there, but I think Murphy he's got a point of difference. And in the All Blacks, they obviously haven't named their squad, but seen someone like the Crusader centre, Lester Fainganuku.
Yeah, he's a gun, mate.
I think he's been
killing it.
brilliant for 2 or 3 years. And he wouldn't look out of place on the end of a All Blacks backline.
Dallin?
From the All Blacks, I reckon young Josh Ioane. I feel like he's been absolutely tearing it up over there. Bowden Barrett's obviously managing a few head knocks at the moment. Obviously, you got Richie Mwanga, who's obviously fantastic and world class and tearing it up. But I like the way Josh is kind of carrying himself over there, and he's been excellent.
He was brilliant on the
Yeah,
weekend.
he's a gun, mate.
Fantastic. Bit of a change of scenery for him, new club, all that kind of stuff. So he's one for me. And then Josh Fluke, I think, is the other one from a Wallabies perspective.
Fluky.
Might be a couple of years too early, but I know they do like him, and he's been playing some really good footy.
He's
Hey,
got a
he lives
hell
up
of
to
a
his
good
last
resume.
name, that's for sure. no, but this year he's made me had a few. I'm like, where's this guy come from? And then every time he touches the ball, he does something like really good.
Yeah, he's a tough bugger, but he's
Yeah.
also got good leadership credentials. Someone
Yeah.
like Fraser McWright, he was the skipper of the Aussie under-18 side that won over in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like, made his debut in a semi-final in QPR footy as a 17 or 18-year-old. Like, he's got chops on him, and he's got a very level head, so I think that could be a selection. Friends, very quickly,
Yes.
should we scrap the yellow card knock-on rule?
I was talking about this on the weekend as well. I reckon.
That's literally why it's in the run sheet.
Yeah.
Do
No,
you
but
not
like-
understand how this works?
Yes. no, but yeah, especially after the weekend. You gonna let me talk? Where's HR? No, yeah, 100%. If it's not going to impact a try, I reckon it's just a penalty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if he's going for an intercept, he's not going to score off it. Like just a penalty. But if it's like obviously a blatant, slap down or try to intercept and he drops it and there's like an overlap, then
Yeah.
I think that's a yellow card. But
But
I
like
think it needs to
in
cut it
league,
out of it, yeah.
league, it's just rule to knock on, and I
Yeah,
think
true.
it was
Yeah, true.
to get rid of.
That's what we need, more scrums in the game.
But it was to get rid of like foul play, but it's not necessarily foul play anymore. It's just part of the game. I think I don't know. We've already got the 50.
Should be just a penalty, and you can't kick it out. You just got to tap and go.
Yeah, half arm. Make it a half arm.
Yeah,
I reckon that.
I think an argument I had with,
Speed the
a
game up.
discussion that I had with someone, I think it may have been Mike Harris, and like years ago, we were talking about the same thing, and we were just thinking, as professional footy players, if I can't pass it to you, J-Ball, before someone knocks it down, then
You're
maybe
shit. And you get cut.
you know what I mean. A yellow card might be too harsh.
It is. It's harsh as hell, man.
Yeah,
It's harsh as hell.
Yep.
Like, oh man.
Scrap it. Short arm.
Get rid of it. Get
Speed
it out
the
of
game
here.
up.
yeah.
What about, we touched on this just before, the Bowden Barrett head knock thing. Dow, do you think, like, this is some pretty serious stuff for Bowden Barrett? He's been out of the Kiwi game for some time. Like, he's obviously got the resume to back it up and all this sort of stuff. But, I don't know, like, this could really, really hamper not only his current career with the All Blacks, but just the rest of it. Because he had an older brother, Kane, who a lot of them rate was probably the best out of all the Barretts, but had to give it up by the age of 20 because of head knocks. Like, this could be pretty serious for him, eh?
Yeah, most definitely. And I think it's something that's happening more and more in our game and needs to be dealt with really, really carefully. And I feel like for him, he just want to make sure he goes out and he gets it right before he makes that comeback.
Yeah. Because, I don't know, you saw it with, like, Berrick Barnes. He had to take a hell of a long time out of the game. Pat
Haylett Petty.
McCabe, Elton Flatley.
Yeah.
Anthony
Haylett Petty
Fanger.
just retired.
Yeah. Like, it's a very serious thing. So, I mean, we just wax lyrical about, like, don't red card people.
Yeah,
people
yeah.
in the face, and we're like, come
I've
on,
had a few
boys.
head knocks. I'm fine.
Alrighty, well, that rounds out PAC News for this week. We've gone through it all. We've discussed it. We've dissected it. We want to actually get straight into our interview for this week. So, Aussies Abroad, one of our segments where, as we said, we're going to go around the world and have a yarn to some of the Aussies plying their trade outside of Australia. So, on the blower, we've got the butcher himself, Eddie Quirk. Quirky, how are you, brother?
Yeah, good boys. How we doing?
Oh,
I think the
living the
butcher, stems all the way back to a fake name that someone made, the abattoir Quirk.
Yes,
Long time
yeah.
ago, so
That's
good to
what
hear
it
it
was.
again.
That's exactly
It
what it was.
was.
What is it, the Redlands Abattoir or something like that?
What a great Facebook page that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
How
got my
good.
dad to make it.
Well, Quirky, mate, thanks for joining us. We know you've got training in just a little under an hour, but how's it going over in Japan? You've obviously been there for a few years now. You're obviously loving it.
And it's good. It's look, Dos and Dal have both experienced it a lot. It's awesome culture, good part of the world, and look, I've sort of come back every year just because I've loved it and enjoyed it, and I've loved the style of footy here. Been lucky enough to do Super as well as the top league here, so I sort of got the best of both worlds in a way. Got the travel and then got the Japanese experience. So, mate, I've had no reason to leave at the moment, unless there was a Wallaby call-up, but that would never happen. But, yeah, so I'm just seeing
Stranger
my
things
days
have
out
happened,
here.
Edward. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, Nick Phipps played
Yeah,
72
no,
odd
not for
test,
me,
mate.
Quirky, Dossie here, mate. It's mate. Good
Hello,
to see
Dos.
you. You obviously, mate. You've obviously found yourself a good barber over there in Japan, looking sharp.
I've actually faded myself up.
No, you haven't.
Yeah.
Gosh.
No, I swear. It's called Quirky's Cuts. Mate, I know you're probably going to ask me about my Japanese in a minute, but mate, you try to tell a barber to do a zero fade. As soon as I walk in, the first question they ask me is, "Do you dye your beard?" And I just tell them to fuck off, and I walk out. So.
And then they laugh and go, Siri Rounder.
Oh, brilliant stuff, Quirky. Mate, I've just got a couple of questions. Firstly, you talk about going back to Japan every year. Obviously, in COVID, you haven't been able to take the family back. You've been away from them for so long. Mate, I just want to ask you, as a mate, like, how you going over there without them? You obviously got two beautiful young kids. And beautiful Maddie here in Brizzy, holding the fort down. She's a tough girl, old Maddie Quirk. But mate, how's everything going? How are the kids?
Thanks for asking, mate. No, as you said, it's pretty hard. We had my daughter over here, and then sort of COVID hit, and then they shot back home. We're actually pregnant with our young fella Harry, and he was born on get this right, 1st of October, and I left that week. And I spent, it would have been 10 and a half, 11 months away from him. So I sort of had to go in and do the whole handshake thing. And how you going? I'm your old man.
You went out to get some milk.
Yeah, he came back. Your dad had the similar conversation with you, didn't he?
Yeah, 100%. I said, I'm going out to get some sushi and I'll be back. And,
Get stuck in Roppongi.
Yeah. Oh. So, yeah, look, it's been tough. And as you said, Mads is an absolute rock. She's running a business at the moment and got the two kids. So she's just put the hand up and charged it. And as my brothers call me, distance dad. So I try to touch out as much as I can. And, look, the world's opening up a bit more. So it should be able to, they'll be able to come over here for a bit and I'll be able to get home. But I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Thanks, Dos.
Good to hear. Hope you it'll be good to catch up for a beer when you're back in Brizzy.
Thanks, mate.
I guess the other thing, you've been in Japan now for 6 or 7 years. You're the only Gaijin, which is the foreigner, in your Japanese team. I mean, surely you can say more than hello now in Japanese.
Nah, mate, I'm still battling. Hey.
Come on, man, give us something. Give us something.
Oh, look, yeah, it's literally I am the only guy, and we've got a young Tongan guy who speaks pretty good Japanese as well. But
how's his English,
mate? First day on the job. First day on the job, they say a speech, and I just stood there for about a minute, and I just said, "Fuck, sorry, boys, I'm still terrible." And one of the boys said, "But you've been here for about 8 years," and I just said,
it's a hard language. It's a hard language. It's a hard language. I'll give that to you.
Mate, it's tough. Look, I have tried. I'm not as good as Dallin. Word on the street, just before I got to Cannon, Dallin had his sayonara. There's my Japanese word for the day. Speech. And, mate, apparently Dal just 5 minutes speech off the bat, all in Nihon, all in Japanese, and apparently, mate, he brought tears to the boys' eyes, and so if anything, mate, Dal, we should swap places, mate, because you're fluent and I'm not.
Do people ever confuse you for Dal over there, Quirky? Surely you stick out like dog's nuts on a hot day walking around Japan.
You're literally the opposite.
Yeah.
Look,
Gojira!
No, well, one of the boys actually called me the devil the other day, and so I bit him, and he was kind of, look, I get some, probably not so much in Tokyo, but here in Hiroshima, obviously with what's happened, I roll around the street, and a lot of people probably think I'm American, with the army bases and that being out here, so I get some rude looks, and I give them back for sure, but look, to be, there's not a lot of foreigners out here, so when I'm rolling the street, I do get the I get some good old stares, which is nice. I usually bark at them, so that might be another bit of a weird thing. So.
Good stuff, Edward.
Quirky Dal, how are you, mate? Good?
You can let him answer.
Yeah, good, thanks.
I watched last week's show, and did you get that off Freeney's script?
What do I do with my hands?
Yeah, mate, literally just a little story. I saw Freeney's, I was driving down Abbotsford Road, not down that deep, seeing friends down that deep of Abbotsford Road, but I actually saw him coming out of the sushi shop there on Oriole Road, and he didn't see me, but he had, I'd say, maybe $120 worth of spring rolls.
Yes. So what, 4 plates?
And it was in his work gear, and I was on the horn, friends, and he would have waved, but he was, mate, chock-a-block, had the neck and the hand hold on the spring rolls. So, friends, it's good really good to see you, buddy. It's
Thanks,
been a
mate.
while.
Hey, I've got a Japanese word for the day. Quirky. It's friends here, by the way. It's kancho. Have you ever played that game?
Yeah, mate, I play it every week at training. That's one of the warm-up games we have here. So,
well, it's when they bend over and they go, kancho! And straight up the arse. Yeah.
I'm looking to bring it back. Hopefully bring it back to Australian rugby in time.
Hopper, it was very frowned upon when Hopper did it, so I reckon we can do it. We can bring it back.
That was a different time, man.
Yeah, it's a different time.
That was a different time.
How are you pulling up, mate? How's the old knee? Was it your knee? That was
knees.
Yeah, it is, mate. I'm if you ask Doss, I'm already arthritic in both knees and just ticked over the 3-0. So I've actually got a members card with Petey Myers there at the Wesley. So, and it's sort of why I moved to the north side, because he's actually a couple of streets over from me. So, no, mate, I'm hanging on. We had a good win actually on the weekend, and been getting 80 minutes in. So the body's actually holding up. So if there's any Super Rugby teams, give us a go.
Are you sporting the old ASICS career savers for training?
No, I actually haven't, mate. I've been lucky enough
to... I'll give you another 10 years, mate, I'm telling you.
Yeah, as I've heard, and they're also a good casual shoe as well.
They're big-time brothel creepers, eh?
Yeah. Mate, 100%. Mate, James Hall used to wear them out.
His number ones.
Yeah, he'd wear them to the cloakroom to get out.
Oh, Quirky. So over there, obviously, you're a big part of the team, being the only guy, Jen. You'd be a big part of the coaching setup. Is it something that you want to move into post-footy?
Yeah, definitely. I've actually been tucking into my coaching course through the QRU, actually, just to learn a bit more, as well as try to help out as much as I can while I'm over here with my team. And look, if I wander back in, I'd love to help out any way I can in any system, whether it's the school system or whatever. And then I'll sort of chance my hand at doing a bit of business development as well through the wife's business. So, mate, I am doing coaching defence and the line out. That's probably why we're getting pumped in those areas every week.
Because you can't speak Japanese.
Because they just got no clue what I'm saying and I got no clue what I'm doing. So it's actually a good recipe. So, but look, I do want to learn more, and I think I'd be able to connect with the young fellas coming back to Brisbane, whether it's club rugby or in that sort of Reds Academy setup as well.
Mate, I'm sure the Tigers would love to have you back down at David Wilson Oval.
Mate, I'd love to go down, mate. Just can't in the week.
Yeah, imagine that Quirky and Mo and coaches. That'd be good. Socially, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Why a team so unfit?
On the field, they'd be dog shit, but off the field, they'd be great. It'd be like the doggies, sort of 2007 through today. Like, shit on the field, but my God, get them off the field and they'll tear you apart. Oh, man. Oh, sorry. I had a few slices of pizza up beforehand. Now I don't feel too well, eh?
Saving it for after.
Oh, man. My guts are killing me. Quirky, thanks so much for joining us, brother. We wish you all the best over there in Japan, and hopefully next time you get back, we can get you in the studio live, brother. We really appreciate it.
For a couple of conchos.
Mate, I'm handing them out for free.
Why are you pushing back, friends? Don't king shame.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, Quirky. You're all the best, brother.
Mate, appreciate it.
Oh, man.
Love you.
Thanks, brother.
That was brilliant.
Alrighty, well, there we have it. Quirky. Oh, mate, he is one of the best blokes going around.
He is the best, mate.
I tell you what, he's set a high standard for Aussies abroad.
Oh, yeah,
Hasn't he set the bar high?
Oh, yeah.
Who are we going to get in next week?
I don't know, man, but they're
Higgins
probably
was
going to
keen.
suck.
Higgins is keen.
Yeah, but
Higgins lives just
boring.
down the road, mate.
Higgins is boring.
So what happened to your hair, Scott?
We can't go 2 rangers in a row, can
Yeah,
we?
no.
Speaking of hair, on to our next segment. We want to discuss, obviously,
Good
we would have
segue.
seen Will Smith laying down the smackdown on Chris Rock for ragging on Jada Smith for rocking the old J-board, dude.
Yeah.
Friends, how about it, mate? That was loose, bro.
Yeah,
that was
was
loose.
that was pretty loose. Yeah, I don't know. Ricky Gervais used to say some pretty gnarly stuff. I don't know if
Ricky Gervais came out and said, I would have never made a joke
Fucking
about her
bullshit.
alopecia.
You
I
know
would have
what I
made a
mean?
joke about her cheating on him. So,
yeah, true.
it's legit.
Yeah.
But speaking of slaps, did you hear there was a former Wallaby, one test Wallaby playing the game up at the Sunny Coast comp now for the Noosa Dolphins, Rocket Rod.
Rocket Rod.
So Rocket Rod on the weekend, 13 apiece in the 80th odd minute, up against Maroochydore Swans, your old
The
side,
mighty
friends.
Swans. Shout out to the Swans. Yeah, the
13
boys.
all.
Yeah, what we got
and
up there? Yeah, the boys.
13 all, 80th minute, and Rocket Rod was hit late and decided to take it into his own hands and deleted this bloke, gave him the old left-right good night, resulting in the Swannies getting the penalty, Rocket Rod getting the red card, and the Swannies coming away with the dub.
He probably got PTSD from when Michael Gunn absolutely cut him in half. He
Oh,
got up
mate.
and he just started.
I reckon I watch that video once every sort of 3-4 weeks. You
Yeah.
watch it 15 times in a row and you're like, my God.
Well,
That is one of the greats.
Well, basically, no offense, but the Dolphins are the brothers of the Sunny Coast Rugby world, so it couldn't happen to a better team, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bloody oath.
Swannies were just in their head. Classic, just, Dolphin behaviour.
But there's been a bit of slapping going on in rugby at the moment. We saw Nagusa, the Fijian Drua skipper, laying an open arm slap on the chin of Tane Edmed on the weekend, man.
Yep.
Mate, it was like a bull with the matador with the old red cloak. Tane
Yeah.
Edmed head looks a bit like that, but
Reminded
mate,
me of the old,
Nagusa did not miss.
Reminded me of the old village comps I started playing when I was like 17. The only white dude there, and yeah, there's a bit of that going on. It's good.
It's just a huge target, eh?
Yeah.
Absolutely massive target.
this Balangi?
And I don't know if we can bring it up on the screen, but I think there was an April Fool's joke played on Instagram earlier this week, saying that Rugby Australia has brought in the golden point rule, that when it goes to golden point, 2 balls come into play on the footy field. April Fools, but I reckon that is the sort of stuff that's going to save the game in Australia. I want to ask your opinion. What do you reckon? Come golden point, what could we do different to really spice the game up, do you reckon, friends?
Oh, mate, yeah, a bit of that action. Just no kicking out, no scrums, just short arms.
I reckon,
Everywhere.
that would be sick. Or maybe just like every minute, one player drops off.
Well,
Well, that's
yeah.
what they do in sevens, no?
Touch,
Yeah,
yeah.
and touch as well.
That
Yeah.
would be sick.
I reckon
That would be
that's-
sick.
That's the goer.
Or-
Or 1-on-1, 100
Yeah.
metres.
Everyone into
Let's
their
go.
budgies, grease down like a half deaf, like a half
Boat
naked
race.
deaf guy, and it's just Grease City. That would be sick and sexy at the same time, right? That's what we're all about here.
no
at the
comment,
show,
no
aren't we?
comment.
Not your proudest wankers.
I don't know. I was pretty proud. I was pretty proud with myself that I got through it.
Yeah.
You got to look for the silver linings
Yeah,
and
you do.
things there, friends. I
You
got
do.
through it, and I was pretty happy with myself. I haven't spoken to my parents in a long time, but that's a completely different thing. Tino, there was a little bit of a trivia question you wanted to ask the boys before we move on?
There was.
Trivia.
Can you name the oldest Wallaby in the squad right now?
Ooh.
Tony Pulu?
Yes, Tony Paul.
Close.
Caden Neville.
Caden Neville. Who the fuck is he?
Wow.
That said, Tony Pulu, I think
Is he old?
he's 31 or something. I
He's
thought he was
33.
33, yeah.
He's
33. Man, I'm 33. What the fuck happened to me, eh? Oh,
You don't look a day over 50, mate.
thanks, man. Well, you said the other day I've got a body like a melted wheelie bin, and it hurt because it was so true. And the worst thing is, here at the studio, we've got TV set up. And when we're setting up, I'm standing right there. The camera's right on my gut. And I was eating a slice of Pizza Hut for it. I was like,
Mate, I was like asking
Shit.
I was asking for a table this week. I've been like doing these. I was like, look at that. So I'm wearing duck.
oh, man. Oh, man, it stunk so bad
Yeah.
because it's so true,
Yeah.
man. Mate, I stopped drinking over 2 years ago and I still look like I chopped piss. Isn't that the biggest cop out of it all, man? Life is not fair. All right, moving forward, let's start doing some of the old reviews of some of the footy over the weekend. So we'll start with Super Rugby. We'll rifle through. There's a couple games we want to delve into a little bit, but the Drua 14, Tars 38. Tars were actually pretty clinical, and this was a decent game, all things considered. The Blues 46-16 over Moana Pacifica, but there was that second game played on the Tuesday where that one was really close, actually. That one was a lot closer than the scoreline says, 32-19 in favour of the Blues. And then the Chiefs 30 over the Canes 29. That was actually a barnstormer of a match. But I wanted to have a look at one of the Super Rugby games from New Zealand in particular, the Satyrs 17, Highlanders 14. I want to get your thoughts on this, Dow, because we were talking before about the Kiwi sides. You know, are the Aussies catching up? And maybe the Kiwi sides aren't sort of playing as well as they typically do this time of year. Granted, they're in the middle of their 4-year World Cup cycle, so that could be a reason for it. But the Satyrs in particular, I mean, 5 years in a row they've won that Super Rugby trophy. They've been invincible for the longest time ever. If Mitch Hunt could kick a ball straight, they come away with the buttered confection in this match at the Satyrs' home ground. Do the Satyrs, are they losing that air of invincibility they've had for the better part of half a decade?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just showing that they're not untouchable. Obviously, they've already been beaten this year, and then, you know, on the weekend, we'll push the wire. And as you said, like, Mitch Hunt was fantastic for the first 40, and then the second 40, he went to water. But I don't know, are we noticing a little bit more of, you know, the talent pushing across all the Super Rugby franchises over there? Is the equality starting to happen over there? That's what
I think. Also, when you play a team so many times, you're bound to close the gap to where you started to where you are today, because you slowly figure it out. I mean, you can't change that much in terms of the way you play the rugby, the way you play your game plan and everything. I think they're just, the 4 other New Zealand teams have had a lot more opportunities to play the Crusaders. You get the loss, you lose your lessons, and then you don't make the same mistakes the next time. And some teams obviously do it a bit better than others. But maybe that's a factor.
Yeah, well, speaking on what you just said about the players dispersing, Dow, you've got Josh Ioane leaving the Highlanders and going to the Chiefs and flourishing. Mitch Hunt left the Satyrs and he's gone down to the Highlanders and he's been flourishing, albeit that 40 minutes on the weekend. There are a lot of players that are starting to disperse, and I think maybe it is levelling the playing field a little bit over there in New Zealand. Now to the Aussie Conference. Reds 21, Brumbies 7. This was dominant from the Reds Freens, and the Brumbies didn't play well at all, but it wasn't them not playing well. The Reds really dictated how they played.
Yeah, I thought that was a crazy performance. We were a man down. We had a red card. There's a couple yellow cards thrown in the mix as well, but like on paper, if you're looking at 2 of the teams, like we were talking about before, the Wallabies that are in the Brumbies and the Reds side, like, mate,
Angus Blythe played
how good was James O'Connor? James O'Connor was amazing. Hunter Paisami.
Angus Blythe was unreal. Yeah, when he made that choke tackle on Jesse Mogg, they put that kick in, he chased through, hits Mogg, and he goes to hit the ground, picks him up, choke tackle, turnover. That was one where I was like, that is huge. And Blythe also had a couple of try-saving tackles near the line too. I mean...
He played very well.
If there is discontent in the QRU in regards to guys like Caden Neville and Nick Frost getting to Guernsey, Angus Blythe couldn't have done any better, Doss.
Yeah. I think Blythe epitomises what the Reds are about these days in terms of, you said he's making those try-saving tackles, like he's working hard. He's a big dude, and he's got that size as his advantage, but he's working hard in so many other aspects of his game, and it's evident throughout the rest of the team. As Freeney said before, they go down, they got the red card, they got another yellow card later, and they're working hard for each other. They're a world-class outfit. They're absorbing the pressure, and I mean, in that 20-minute period, they were a man down. Not only did they hold a team like the Brumbies out, they managed to score a try through that X factor that I was talking before. James O'Connor pinpoint kick, Jordan Pattaya gets up, Fraser McWright gets the try. I mean, they're looking good, and if I was to put my money on anyone beating the New Zealand team, it's them, just because of their makeup and what they're doing at the moment. But mate, clinical performance and a very well-deserved win.
Clinical, yeah.
Do you guys reckon like this year the Aussie teams are more exciting to watch as well? Like, Compared to other years,
They're having more of a crack.
Yeah, you're watching New Zealand teams, and you're like, bloody hell, they're insane. But this year, I find like the Aussie teams, the conference is pretty good to watch. Like it's more entertaining. They're playing some bloody good footy.
Well, there's combos, there's enthusiasm, there's passion. Like
there's that attack, that intensity.
Yeah.
When they attack, when they get the ball, you can see everyone just sort of light up. And
look at Geordie, mate. Like that ball
insane.
got dribbled into his own 5 or whatever, and his first thought is, let's attack. But then, oh no, let's put it on the toe and thumps it 60 metres. But like you can see, his intent is always to attack. Same with guys like Hunter is always keen to have a crack and even put in little dinky little kicks that back in the day we would do at the wrong time, but he's doing it in an attacking sense.
Yeah.
Like they're reading the play better.
The kick chase and all that's just been good.
Like their kick chase, like as I said, Angus Blythe was the one leading it, and he's like Mr. Larson and Happy Gilmore, like
the Brumbies,
nails sticking out of his head.
The Brumbies were also missing an X factor in Tom Banks.
Tom Banks.
So they played a critical win for the
Lolosio.
Reds. Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
I reckon
there were a few key players
Yeah.
that played territorial for the Brumbies that were out. So
Yeah, I agree. I reckon they should have. They probably should have started Nick White. Going into a big game like that. Whether Dan McKellar had, he had other thoughts in terms of giving Lonergan and Iona time in the saddle in an important game like that to develop and improve. Maybe that was an aspect to it, but maybe having someone like Whitey at the start of the game, he could have had a sort of a more calming influence on the guys, especially when they went a man down. When the Brumbies went a man up, he maybe would have managed the game a little bit different. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but they did have a few big guys out. But nevertheless, I do think the Reds still win that game.
Hell yeah. Number 1 in the world, baby. If anybody follows Camilo Guido on Facebook, man, he is the man. Eh? He's like, what did he say? He's like, I'm not saying the Reds are number 1 in the world, but we're number 1 in the world. After every game, man, it is the best. Oh, Camilo is the man. Eh? Now in Super W, the Brumbies 27 over the Force 19. This is a pretty bloody hard-fought match. So the Brumbies coming away with that one. Reds 55, Rebels 5. Your baby girl, Drape's getting herself an absolute perler of a try, mate. That was red hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got some serious toe on her, eh?
Annabelle
Cody.
And someone ankle tapped me.
Yeah.
Offload away.
Did the old tombstone, that knees in the ground. But then got that offload away to Shani Williams. Mate, like that was red hot. And Liz Partu.
Yeah, she dominated.
She is a beast. So about 5-6 years ago, I was coaching 3rd grade down at West, and it was pre-season, January, and you got like 50 dudes hitting the scrum machine. I'd never met Partu in my life. And she's like, do you mind if I jump in? I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit, man. Thinking like, yeah, she'll jump on the side. All right, cool. Jumps in the middle at hooker with like all these dudes drilling the scrum machine. I was like, shit, can this chick play for us, man? Because she's dope. Then you watch her play, and she deletes people, man. Like, it is nuts, man. She is a gun. I think she got yellow carded on the weekend, came straight on and made up for it by bagging a bit of meat. And then the match we want to discuss, what was it, 16 or 18 games in a row, the Tars have gone undefeated. Finally, the Drua, Fijiana Drua, coming away 29-10. This was dominant, to say the least, Al.
Yeah, 100%. We're talking about the Crusaders losing their aura a bit. I reckon Fijiana are unbeatable.
Yes! You heard it here first.
I heard it
here first.
They've got those outside backs that play just exactly like the men do, where they're just scoring tries for fun. Ravisa at fullback, she's
so
just
sick.
Outstanding. Yeah. And the interplay between them all is just phenomenal.
That offloading ability.
Yeah.
That number 8, the one with the headgear, she just absolutely destroyed Sarah Naguama. Mate, she just got deleted.
Mate, but
and it was like a proper,
yeah. But no, that's the thing. The Tars have been untouchable.
I didn't think that was going to happen. I did not think that was going to happen.
And this was like, I think the Tars got a try in the 75th minute. Like, this was dominant one-way traffic all game on both sides of the pill. I think they were up. They had 3 tries in that first half. And then when they didn't have the ball, as you said, friends, they were snotting chicks left, right, and centre. Like, they... But I think you heard Avril Mitchell in the broadcast booth saying, she's like, you can actually see what you've got there with the Fijiana Drua. They're like an international caliber side.
Well, they're playing basically their professional side, really, aren't they? They're doing it full time at the moment.
Yeah.
Whereas the other girls obviously have to work and stuff. So there's that spot of difference. But taking that away, they're bloody good athletes.
Bit sweaty over there, friends.
I'm sweating so fucking.
What's doing, man?
I don't
I'm
know.
sweating hard too.
I sweat so
I haven't taken any fat blasters either.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should. Saying I look like a melted wheelie bin, man.
I need to do it, man. Try it.
Nah,
Sweating
man.
so bad.
Haven't had a pingers in a long time, bro. Shoot Shield, we saw some results over the weekend. Some one-sided traffic. North's 42 over Manly 12. I think it's going to be a long season for the Marlins. We saw them getting fisted a bit last year, and I think it's going to be replicated this year. Southern Districts 13 over Manly 7. Oh, Tino, come on, man. What's going on over here? Wildfires 26, Gordon 31. The Wildfires, man, they are going to be red hot this year. They are so sick. The two Blues just going down to the Pirates 28-27, and then Randwick. This was a pearler of a match, 27 over Eastwood 21. But the game we want to discuss, it is Warringah coming away with the butter confection over the Students, 29-26. No one would have picked this. Surely not. Sydney Uni last year were undefeated. They were scoring tries at will. I think their hooker, Declan Moore, was the leading point scorer in the comp with 12 tries. Something like that after 8 games or something crazy. They were so dominant last year, and the Rats came out and rat far out of them big time. Like, they went to town on them, Dow.
Yeah, they were outstanding. It was a hell of a game. It was back and forth, but they really took it to them. A lot of times throughout the game, Sydney Uni looked completely controlled, but there was big plays from Warringah to knock them off their perch. I think Ben Woollett, you know what I mean?
At fullback was awesome.
Was absolutely outstanding, kicking goals.
Yeah.
You know, really leading his team around the park, but credit to Warringah, they look sharp this year.
You see when Ben Woollett was taking that shot at goal and all the Sydney Uni blokes were ragging him, and just as he kicks it, some dude's like, "Shut up, you dickhead." I was like, this is sick. And then he turns around after nailing it from the sideline, just giving it to the crowd. Yeah, right in front of him and just drilled it. And he's like, giving it to him. I think that drew it up 26-all as well. Yeah. But this is the thing. I mean, Sydney Uni last year were absolutely untouchable. Granted, they've lost a couple players, like Nick de Crumey's over in France, where he belongs, playing top-grade footy. But, you know, very much like UQ up here, they have a carousel of top-class footy players, DOS. Do you think, obviously it's not the start they would have wanted, do you think this might not be the sort of dominant season that they were sort of showcasing last year for them in this season?
Look, J-Ball, it's hard for me to comment. I don't know the ins and outs, what's happening down in Sydney. But similar to, I guess, my argument with the Crusaders, it's and they've lost a few guys, a couple of the Sydney Uni guys, and
I think 12
and a couple of them are at NEC.
12, yeah, they look completely different.
Yeah,
I mean, Banjo Travers was absolutely awesome again. But
It was.
Good name.
Yeah,
It's
great
a
name.
really good. Yeah. What
It's
position
such
is
a
he?
sick name, the halfback.
Yeah, okay, you got to follow that.
Yeah, he was.
He's
red
got a
hot.
name. He's got a famous name.
Yeah, so Sterling
Yeah.
Mortlock, one of those.
He's a lot better than Sterling Mortlock.
It's such a honky name, though, eh?
Yeah,
Just
it
like classic white boy from Sydney Uni. It's Banjo Travers, like honky boy. But mate, he's an absolute gun. But I don't know, man. Like as you said, they've lost 12 players, but Jesus Christ, like that was not the sort of performance I was expecting from Sydney Uni. That's for damn sure. Now we'll go over to Rugby WA. We know that the Fortescue Premier Grade competition over in WA is being telecast on Stan now as well. Is it just one game a week, Tino? Or it's all of them? One game a week, one match of the round? Well, we saw some results. West Scarborough 55-14 over Rockingham. Netherlands 59-7 over Joondalup. The Southern Lions just going down to Uni, 28-26. Bayswater 40 over 18, so there was some blowouts. But Wanneroo 28 over Palmyra 27. Palmyra last year were actually in the grand final against Cottesloe, so that's a huge upset to start it off. But Kalamunda 27, going down to Cottesloe 42. Alec Fontalvo's his team over there. They've done the three-peat. They've started the season pretty bloody well, so I think, as per usual, they're probably going to be the team to beat. From all accounts, they've got like the most beautiful club in
Cottesloe?
In Australia.
Oh, mate,
right
that's
on the beach.
Good part of the world.
Yeah. So
Super expensive.
Is it?
Good if you're a miner, I guess, but not if you're a battler like me.
What kind of miner are you talking about?
Iron ore. Iron ore.
Oh,
yeah.
Bitcoin.
Yeah,
no, I meant age. I was like,
Jesus Christ.
I don't know with you, friends. I have to clarify sometimes. But that rounds out this week's segment. Obviously, this week's episode, sorry. Obviously, we're going to be doing this twice a week, reviewing Mondays, and then on Thursdays, we're going to be previewing all all the footy. Oh, no, I just got word. That's right. We forgot about Rugby Watch. Wasn't in the run sheet here, Tino. It is?
It's in the white font.
All right, but before we wrap it up then, what about Rugby Watch? Who caught your eye? Who was your rugby from the weekend, Dos?
Man, I think it's pretty hard to go past young Geordie Pataya.
Oh,
Yeah, just phenomenal. I think one of the commentators put it perfect. I think it was Timmy Horan. He's an athlete first and a rugby player second. The
Kind of
things
like
that,
me.
Well, exactly, J-Ball. I mean, I've got one right here, so don't have to look too far
Damn
for those
straight.
sort of examples.
Hell yeah, man.
But yeah, mate, he's blossoming every week in that 15 jersey. I was a bit hesitant with his move at the start, but
too.
he's proved. Gladly been proven wrong.
Hell yeah. Dow, your rugby?
Fraser McWright, I feel like he gets better every week.
Yep.
He's starting to become really
Outstanding.
battle-hardened. You know
Yep.
what I mean? He's doing things that, you know what I mean, you expect from, world-class sevens, and he's absolutely everywhere and just keeps fronting up. And I think he's a big asset to that side.
And he's had that captain's armband on the last few weeks as well, which suits him very, very well, doesn't it? Freeney, your rugby.
it's hard to go past Tonga and Thor, but Hunter Paisami, mate, I just rate him. I just rate how he plays. Everything he does is so good. I hope he doesn't bloody run head first into someone one day because he'll die. But
And he added another victim to Hunter's hit list.
Oh man,
Yep,
so
they
good.
hit on Nick.
Like
White.
Yeah, Nick
He's
White.
just got that hard edge, but he's also smart, like you're saying, doing little kicks and. It's going to be hard to pick centres this
His game has developed so far. He's so dedicated.
Yeah.
And you see, he can do kicks off both feet. He's now steps into first receiver a little bit.
Yep.
And actually, he's expanding his game, which, over the last sort of decade, you'd probably be able to say that a lot of players were very one-dimensional. He's actively going out of his way to really develop his game. For mine, seeing as you guys all just picked Reds players, I thought I'd show some love elsewhere. Rugby has to go Ben Woollett, mate, for mine. He was so sick. He was so sick for the Rats on the weekend, man. And back when they won, when did they win? 2016, was it? They won the comp.
Something like that. They were massive back then.
He
too,
was
big boys.
awesome in that grand final. His defense, we saw him on the weekend delete his opposite number, scoring that try whilst carrying the pill, but a lot of defensive efforts. One thing that the Rats did so well on the weekend was their covering D was absolutely huge. But, Ben Woollett, man, he is an absolute gun at fullback there for the Rats. Is that everything, Tino? There's nothing else? Okay, yes, we got through it. Hell yeah, first live episode of the PAC Show. Thanks very much for tuning in, everyone. Dos, Dallin, Freens, Tino, Sione, Zach, everyone behind the computers, thanks so much for tuning in, helping out. As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted about Rugby Watch, we are obviously going to Mondays and Thursday nights from 6 p.m. So Monday night, we're going to be doing a lot of our reviews and highlights and so on. Thursday nights is when we're going to be previewing all the upcoming fixtures. So stay tuned. I think the PAC Supreme Leader, Johnny Brown, Keefa Camboa, is going to be giving us a deep in the cut from his crack den hotel underneath an overpass in LA.
Literally.
It's shocking.
Seriously.
He said, this is a bloke who said it's top 5 worst motel he's been at, and he's been in a lot of shockers. So
He's travelled through Philippines.
Yeah.
That's saying something.
And he works in a hole in PNG, so that is saying something, man. This is a bloke who, I think, he said the other day that the highlight was the crackhead knocking on the door asking if he could come in to have a kip. So, mate, so I'm sure we'll have some deep in the cut, get you some odds and some tips in for the upcoming fixtures this weekend. But be sure to tune in, like and subscribe. That's what we do on YouTube. But, yeah, tune in Thursday night for all the action for the PAC Show. Peace out.